For our final project, we chose a nonfiction unit that focuses on text features and structures. In this unit, 6th grade students will learn about text features and text structures using Kahoot, Scope Scholastic Magazine, and Flipgrid platform. Examples of text features are maps, photographs, captions, headings, subheadings, graphs, charts, etc. Examples of text structures are the way that the author organizes the content by either chronological order, compare contrast, order of importance, cause and effect, and visual spatial. The learners in this classroom consist of 6th grade students ages 11 through 13 years of age, 26 students altogether. They are Caucasian, Asian American, and African American students. There are 2 students that are ELL, 6 students with 504 plans, and 4 gifted students. Currently, they are familiar with nonfiction genre but unfamiliar with text structures and text features. The students will be able to identify text features and structures. They will analyze how a part of an article fits into the whole article, and finally, they will read, listen, and view information about one topic to develop a better understanding of the topic 100% of the time. Our unit is aligned with Robert Gagne's 9 learning processes. For the first process, the teacher will gain attention at the beginning of the unit with the Kahoot interactive game. Number 2, to inform the learners of the objectives, each day the teacher will review the learning objectives. Number 3, they will stimulate recall of prior learning each day by reviewing the knowledge of text features and text structures with examples from the online Scope magazine articles. Number 4, to present the stimulus, the teacher will present articles each day to the students. To provide learning guidance, the teacher will work in leveled groups each day with students. Number 6, to elicit performance, and 7, provide feedback, and 8, assess performance. They will all be accomplished using the Flipgrid platform. And finally, the teacher will enhance retention and transfer through whole class discussion and a review game from Kahoot. The technologies that will be used are students will be using an online version of Scope Scholastic Magazine where students can read an article at their desired grade level as well as having it read aloud to them. They will also have an opportunity to play an interactive multiple choice game where they compete against fellow students using their content knowledge. Finally, students will use Flipgrid platform to record live responses to assigned questions. Students will begin the unit with an interactive Kahoot game. The teacher will determine students' familiarity with the terms. After the game, the teacher will explain the learner objectives. And finally, the teacher will model identifying text features and text structures with a Scope Scholastic article called Stinky Pits. On day 2, students will begin the lesson by reviewing learning objectives from day 1. Students will be asked to log in to Scope Scholastic Online Magazine. The students will then break into groups based on reading levels, and they will read an article called Saving America's Wolves. After reading the article, students will complete questions about the reading with a Figure 1 worksheet. There will be a brief discussion between the teacher and students that will take place at the end of day 2. On day 3, the lesson will begin with reviewing objectives. Then the teacher will further explain text structure in the Scope Scholastic article called Stinky Pits. The students will then break into the same groups as day 2. They will reread Saving America's Wolves. Students will pay close attention to the text structure. They will also complete questions on a worksheet in Figure 2. They will finish up with a brief discussion between the teacher and students. On day 4, students will finish completing and editing their notes on text structure and text features. The teacher will explain how she will assess student performance. Students will work together to create a Flipgrid response. Students will explain how a text feature or text structure fits into an article as a whole. On day 5, students will post their Flipgrid assignments and view other students' Flipgrid assignments. The students will provide feedback to one another. And finally, there will be a whole class discussion on how text features and text structures impact subjects in the real world. The differentiation options are Scope Scholastic will provide different Lexile levels, and students who have trouble with comprehension can listen to the text. Students who need a challenge can read a higher level and will be given more challenging vocabulary. Students will complete 2 handouts that coincide with a learning objective for each article. This is an example of the work that students will be expected to complete while learning about text structures. With the online digital content, students will click on the website for Scope Scholastic magazine. When they get to this page, they will be instructed with a username and password to log into Scope Scholastic, in which they will also then be directed to which issue to click on and which article to read. With the Flipgrid, they will go to that web address. They will type in the password Park Street for our school. And there they will be given their assignment that says Text Features, Structures, Reflection. They will choose either the Stinky Pits article or the Saving America's Wolves article and complete the following. They will give an example of a text feature used in the article and explain why they think the author included it. Then they will give an example of the text structure that the author used in the article. And finally, they will end the video with a question to the audience about text feature and structures. And their example would be, if you could choose another text feature or structure to include in this article, what would you choose and why? In order to record their video, they would need to click on the green button with the white plus sign and then simply begin their video. For Kahoot, they would be directed to go to kahoot.it. And once they arrive at the Kahoot website, they will be given a game pin, which is usually a number that the teacher would post up on the screen in the main classroom. Once they put in their pin number, they will be given an option to create a nickname or put their first name in. And then once everyone has gone ahead and put the pin in and put their name in, once everyone's ready, the teacher will begin the game for everyone at once. So now here's an example of what Kahoot would look like. Okay, once everyone's ready, the teacher would sign in and the game would begin. It would start with question number 1, which is posted up on the projector in the classroom. So question number 1 says, thousands of people die each year in a car accidents involving drugs or alcohol. Lives could be saved if our town adopts a free public taxi service. By providing such a service, we could prevent intoxicated drivers from endangering themselves or others. The students must now identify the text structure in the following passage. Their choices are the red choice, which is the triangle, is a description structure. They could choose the diamond, which is problem and solution strategy structure, or the circle, which is cause and effect, or the square, which is compare contrast. So we would go ahead and select an answer, and then the student would find out whether they were correct or incorrect, and based on how quickly they respond and whether they're correct or not depends on how many points they would receive for each question. So you'll see on this first question we received 725 points for being correct and for being in first place to answer. For conceptual categorization, we believe that it is augmentation is represented with Scope Scholastic leveled text, and the text can be read aloud. For redefinition, we're using Flipgrid, where students can watch other students' responses, enabling them to learn from one another. For the summative evaluation, students will use Flipgrid to explain how part of an article fits into the whole article. Students will show success by accurately stating the type of text feature or text structure that is used. And at the end of the unit, student opinion surveys will be given out for students to assess the effectiveness of using Scope Scholastic. And these are our references we use to complete our unit.